Okay, we've now got all the way to day 11 and we're in about the last 15 minutes of the game, which is about enough time to put in sort of highlights and what I think were the pivotal moments of this game, in which I've ended up coming third. So one pivotal moment early on was me discovering that although I was closer to All Breed than my neighbour Mr. Civilized, he desperately wanted it. He was in a rather bad position and had joined the game last. So rather than let him take it, I decided to contest it. The second important thing that I did was hire a lieutenant. I had a choice between a lieutenant and a helmsman, and I thought the lieutenant might come in handy if it's going to be a case of scrapping over individual subs. So also worth noting is that my allies are going sideways, so I did form respectful alliances with my neighbours to the north, and without that nothing would have been possible. So this is me losing Albreed but winning Goss and winning Phillips, and another potentially lucky hire was getting this lieutenant back just in time, ordering another one and being able to hold off 50 drillers, and then getting these guys back to Phillips just in time. Over here is another important phase in day 3 of the game. I convinced Plowden not to do a deal with Mr. Civ because he was apparently considering gifting this sub of 45, because since Mr. Civ had decided to go after me wholeheartedly, he was leaving everything to the south undefended. So in order to get rid of him, it was important that my neighbours to the south tidied up Mr. Civ, which I convinced Plowden not to gift that. So that's him taking it over. Another important thing was this airstrike coming from Red, who I'd informed earlier that there were bases ripe for the taking. I didn't quite expect that many drillers to arrive, and I basically bought Red's help in exchange for a free base at Phillips and Humble Rod, and he didn't take Humble Rod for a while until that amazing force came in. So Red ended up basically holding on to this corner for almost the whole game. And another not necessarily pivotal, was helpful bit was where Raptor Mono Rator spontaneously gifted me a Hamilton Assassin in order to get rid of this pesky General Thief combo that had been rolling up my factories to the east, and potentially with the assistance of that and with the assistance of my general that's off screen, I was able to roll that up, and then I needed to do a tricky multi-specialist manoeuvre, lots of explosion, which is lots of specialists hitting that thief, but then because at that stage Mr. Civ has no outpost left, so the specialists just get returned to me. So that was nice, but it still didn't leave me in a particularly strong position with no mines and less production than anybody else. There'd been a bit of an alliance against Pink, so I threw an assassin against Pink to see what happened, and what happened was that I got a double agent in exchange, which was not too bad because I could just leave that double agent there just to defend that corner. Here's another nice bit of cooperation. Moderator has lent me a hypnotist in order to recover these captured drillers from Mr. Civ, and I then returned the hypnotist because we were having such a pleasant trading relationship there, even while other battles were going on. And here's the point where, to my south, Plowden has suddenly built 3 mines. Raptor in the red had been the dominant power and was fighting with Jimity. Suddenly, at this point, Plowden has got 3 mines and was going to win, as the top of the screen says, in 2.5 days. So I talk around a combination of pink and green and say, let's go get Plowden and send in the troops. And somehow I managed to convince Plowden that it's actually in his interest just to give me that mine, and then I'll help him defend his other ones from my erstwhile allies, which in fact I do, because here comes the attack sub from pink, and I basically gift the helmsman to give him time to prepare, and he manages to cut that off just before that arrives. Meanwhile, he's got to deal with green coming in to his south. But I've managed to nick a mine for admittedly the cost of 200 drills in the gift, but Plowden was pretty good about accepting my assistance and not backstabbing me straight away. And at this stage I've suddenly got 3 mines, and I'm thinking that I could potentially get a win in here, because I've identified that this mine of reds is not too difficult to take. However, I've got no troops in that region, so I try and do it the cheap way by just sending an infiltrator. By this stage I've got 3 generals, so that infiltrator is worth quite a bit, but that doesn't work because red does cut it off. So mainly I managed to not attract anybody's attention apart from Mr. Siv's, and by playing off a lot of people against a lot of other people and being friends with everybody, I've had a bash at getting from nowhere to the top 3. So that was the Happy New Year game, and if you've watched all of the diary entries, you probably are an insomniac.